No, fuck it. I'll make some notes. I'll say, what are the fundamentals of Wyckoff theory? The market moves because of an imbalance between supply and demand. Okay. And so I'll also make this more supply. If supply is greater than demand, the market moves down. If demand is greater than supply, the market moves up. Okay, this is like this is like fourth grade level education stuff here, right? Like I'm not teaching anything profound yet. Oh, imbalance. Thanks. Now, what makes Wyckoff theory or trading range analysis so difficult is that it's very interpretive and it's more of an art than it is a hard science. And so when you're looking at trading ranges like this, it's not immediately obvious what's going on here, right? And so I always preach this. I don't like when people use trading range schematics, okay? And I'll show you an example of one that just drives me up a fucking wall. So where's this thing? Oh my God, where is it? Here we go, this thing. Can I paste this? Oh, you can do that now, sick. Okay. So here is like this schematic, right? Or I guess here, I'll find the more appropriate one, the distribution one. Right? So these schematics drive me crazy because they don't tell you the relevant information that you're looking for. All it does is it looks like a pattern. And I can also adjust the transparency. Oh, nice. Dude, Trading Range is such a good tool. It didn't used to be this good. First of all, this is labeled wrong. I don't know who labeled this, but this is wrong as shit. Let me find a better one. There we go. But these schematics drive me nuts because they only tell half of the story, and people take these things and they look at them like quote unquote patterns, and they're not patterns. Okay? Patterns are trading ranges, but trading ranges are not patterns. It's like squares and rectangles kind of thing. This is missing the whole vital part of like the volume component of it, right? Like where's the volume part? And the volume is what tells you the context of the price action. Okay. So like you can have a very similar thing like this that has a different different volume profile, and that's going to tell a drastically different story. So we look at the lens, we look at the market through the lens of price action and its accompanying volume. Okay, and when we look at price action, we look at price action equals results, volume equals effort. So we look at the market through the lens of price action and volume, and equate it to effort versus result. Okay? And the thing that I always talk about is like, imagine you're pushing, like you've got this giant hill, right? And you've got this giant boulder, right? You're pushing it up this hill, And if you're looking at the volume right here, this is like your power bar, right? So it's like your energy bar. And if volume is decreasing on the ride up, you're pushing this boulder up a hill and it's becoming heavier and heavier. And you're like, shit, this thing is so heavy. I'm getting tired. Well, what happens once you get tired? The boulder rolls back down and it squashes you, right? And sometimes you get to a little stopping point and it goes like this. And you're like, oh, I'm pushing the market up. And it gets to this boulder point. You're like, cool, I can rest. You regain your energy and then you push it back up. So when you're looking at the market, we're looking at it through the lens of price action and volume. This is effort versus result. If you move the market with a great amount of result and as a high amount of effort, that means that you have a lot of people trying to push the market down. And unless the bulls can hold their ground, the market's going to eat them alive and the boulder's going to roll back down the hill and squash you. Okay? Right now, we're on the slope of the hill where the boulder is coming up and you're getting tired and it's going to roll back down. Okay, so when we're looking at these trading ranges, this is the lens through which we're viewing them, right? It's not patterns. It's not like, oh, this is why people think that this is why people think market analysis is like just bullshit, right? Because they're like, oh, you're just drawing triangles and triangles do this, and you're like squares and triangles, and it seems very like elementary. And then when someone asks, well, why does it do this? You're like, because triangles go up, and I just generally think that triangles go. It's like, well, no, you don't understand what's going on here. What's going on here is there is a series of people pushing the market in a given direction. This is the other really important part, okay? We also view the market through the eyes of market makers. The eyes of the composite operator. Operator? Oh, I think so. And the composite operator is just this literary device that we use to lump all of these people pushing the market up. And those can be, your Goldman Sachs, your Three Arrows Capital, rest in peace, whoever, that have a vested interest in pushing the market up. Okay. And rather than being like this person over here, this is Goldman Sachs, this is, whoever, we just look at it as one lump of people called the composite operator. Okay. And the composite operator, we'll say the CO, moves the market in cycles. The beginning of a market cycle is we'll do it like this. Accumulation, reaccumulation, distribution, redistribution, accumulation. Okay? So the market goes in like this cyclical pattern. And sometimes, we can do things like this where the market goes accumulation, reaccumulation, 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 and then it tops and then it comes down like this. But that's just the general form, right? Like we can do this multiple times. So accumulation, accumulation is a type of trading range that serves to shake people out, bore them to death, and then spark FOMO on a breakout. Okay? So that's why accumulation is the opposite of distribution. And so if volatility increases in distribution, we would expect volatility to decrease in accumulation, right? And that's because they're just trying to get people to sell their shares, either scaring them, pushing the market low, holding them down there, just making them, basically just boring them to death, making them be like, okay, I can go find better returns elsewhere. So they sell their shit, and this accumulation period occurs. This period is full of tests that act as a question and answer period for the CO. The CO asks, is there supply here? Is there demand here? Okay. So when we have the boundaries of the trading range, like let's just say this is our trading range, the market will generally come down, do this, form the bottom of the trading range, come up, come down, come up, come down, boom, boom. This is the general structure of a trading range. Now, this can take many forms, and throughout the life of this trading range, volume will decrease until this point, and the volume will dramatically increase. So it'll be like something like this, boom, and then bam, like that. Okay? So there are key indications throughout the life of a trading range that let you know, hey, this thing is wrapping up. It's time for the markup period. Okay? And without going into detail about what those are, like this is just the gist of it. So when it breaks the upper boundary, the composite operator is saying how much supply is up here. And then it comes back down. It breaks the bottom of the trading range and it says how much demand is up here. The composite operator knows everything it wants to know. And then the price marks up and it begins a bull market. Okay. Now reaccumulation. Reaccumulation functions just like accumulation, but in the middle of a trend. Right? So market comes up, is in a bull market, comes up, boom, forms a top, forms a bottom, boom. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it goes down, then it goes like that, right? So it has a general structure like this, and again, the volume tapers down, and then bam, expands again. Volatility decreases throughout the life cycle of the range. All right, distribution. Distribution marks the top of the market cycle and generally ends in a very aggressive fashion. So what I mean by that, right? So if this is reaccumulation, right, the counterpart to that would be distribution, which means it comes up, right? Comes up, boom, boom, boom. And here's the key point. It fails. And it comes back down. So up until this point, if you're looking at just price action, this looks identical to reaccumulation, right? So if we're looking at this thing, can I do this? I can't crop this, can I? Shit. Okay, so let's go back in time. Let's use our time machine here. I remember this because I lived it. If you were looking at this and you were just looking at patterns, find one. Got one here. This meme right here. this would look pretty damn similar to the distribution, right? We're right here. This looks right around here. And you're looking at this, you're like, oh, this looks like a reaccumulation. But the context is the important part here. Where is the market stalling? Where is the volume on the rally? And what does it do once it hits this crucial point, which is the preliminary supply? It stalls. It stalls. And it does this. This is a major, major oh shit moment that should strike the fear of God in you, because this means it's going down. Okay? So what else can we say in an aggressive fashion? Structure-wise, the first half of distribution looks very, very similar to reaccumulation, but the context of the price action with the volume tells a very different story. And then redistribution is, redistribution is the inverse of reaccumulation, right? It's like reaccumulation, but on the downside. So I'll show you an example of redistribution. So redistribution, can I get rid of you? Get rid of this, boom, boom, boom. So here's a form of redistribution, right? This looks like reaccumulate if we turn our heads upside down. Oh, this is going to be confusing. How the hell do I find this? Okay, so we are here. This looks like reaccumulation, right? This is an inverse chart, by the way. Looks like this. But just upside down. And then accumulation is, just rinse, repeat. So in general, like at a high level, it just has this very sinusoidal market structure, right? Accumulation, redistribution, sometimes accumulation, reaccumulation, reaccumulation, distribution, redistribution, redistribution, accumulation. Okay. Does my Wyckoff theory rant make sense? Any questions about that? I'm surprised we still got 53 people here. Usually once I start talking about Wyckoff theory, people start zoning out. You did so well they fell asleep with the stream open. Yeah, that's probably what happened. Whatever, I'll take it. It helps my stream metrics. All right. What else do we want to say about this? I think I've beaten this into the dirt for now. But if you want the the long form version of this conversation, definitely check out my YouTube video. It's long, but I promise it's worth it. For sure, listen to that. And it's probably like, dude, honestly, like Wyckoff theory, like this stuff doesn't sink in overnight. Like it took, I'm not kidding. It took me many years to get good at reading this stuff. And the problem is that once you get this new tool, you know, Wyckoff theory is like the tool, you just want to use it all the time. Like you just got this new hammer and you think everything's a fucking nail and you're just always trying to hammer it. Like you're like, I'm going to Wyckoff theory this. I'm going to Wyckoff theory this, blah, 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 blah. And that's why I really, really suggest do not use this idea that Wyckoff theory is a pattern because you're going to try to overlay it on top of everything. Learn the fundamentals of what Wyckoff theory is, or supply demand analysis is, trading range analysis, whatever you want to call it. Use it sparingly and always look to prove yourself wrong with it. It seems to be a macro tool. It is a good macro tool, but like honestly, in trending markets and there's enough volume, I use it on 15-minute charts all the time. Like it's a good, like this is an hourly chart and this is a distribution that's taking place. If things get really crazy, you can like if we're in a really, really good bull market, you can even use Wyckoff, like 1 minute Wyckoff analysis all the time. Yeah, exactly what Mike said. And good, it's like almost verbatim. In good markets, you can get 1 minute Wyckoff. Right now, we're not really like that because the market volume is kind of low. But like, you know, say like over here, when we were back like in this market stuff, like you can do like 1 minute Wyckoff analysis. Here, like, look, here's an example, reaccumulation, right? Boom. You see the spring, you see the takeoff, boom. And what I like about using trading range analysis is you can couple it with, you know, your favorite trend indicators like cloud or EMAs or Bollinger Bands or whatever. And it just kind of gives you like an added bias to what you're already doing. Look at our current range on the 15-minute on the inverse. Looks like we're at a sign of strength now. $15-minute on the inverse. Well, no, it wouldn't be a sign of strength. It would be the breakout, right? This would be the sign of strength. The sign of weakness is the inverse of sign of strength. So yeah, if we look at this upside down, oops. Like this looks like an accumulation trading range that's about to go into markup. Something like that. But the only difference is that the volatility isn't smooth, right? So like it's not as simple as just being like, I'm going to flip distribution upside down and it's accumulation. It's like, you know, at a high level it is, but like the volatility tells a very different story. But the really important thing is that we've flipped this level here. Okay. Any questions about this Wyckoff stuff before we briefly go through altcoins? Because my throat is getting dry and I can't talk no mo. Time spent at the top versus at the bottom is a good hint. Yeah. So if we look at this regular, in general, most of the time, in distribution, most of the time is spent at the top of the trading range. And in accumulation, it's the opposite, right? I'll go ahead and add that note there too. Most of the time is spent in the top half of the TR where supply is being sold at higher prices.